I am successful. I look for and find opportunities where others see nothing. I am a lifetime learner. I am solution focused. I see only solutions. I am a solution. Wow, wow. Well, before I get into the conversation, let me just welcome everyone that's just joining us to the Be Transformed Tribe on Clubhouse. I'm the catalyst, and my name is Lanre Olusola. And, honestly, this is home for everybody that is looking to, create impact in their lives and in other people's lives. Here is home for people that are looking for a practical, spirit and mind transforming space where conversations are real and can equip you and empower you to deal with all challenges that you face. This is home to people that are looking for transformation, mind transformation, spiritual transformation, and people that are looking to being all that they were created to be. And tonight we're talking about breaking free from approval addiction. And, I'd like to add unhealthy attachment. So how much of it is cultural? How much of it is social media? How much of it is from the past, right? But before we begin to look at, the impact of culture, the impact of social media, the impact of our past, let me even break down what I believe approval addiction really means, or unhealthy attachment. It's important for us to acknowledge that there's a difference between approval addiction and acceptance. Every time you show up, every human being desires and needs acceptance. We need love, right? We need relationships. We need connections. We need connectivity. And that's a fundamental human need, right? You need psychological safety, you need emotional safety, you need physical safety, you need emotional connection, you need spiritual connection, you need physical connection. You need to cohabit with other people. You need to develop relationships. You need connectivity. We are social beings, and so we were created to connect one with another. And for us to be able to connect one with another, it's important for us to accept each other's authentic self. It's important for us to accept ourselves just the way we are. Now, that is different from approval addiction and unhealthy attachment. Approval addiction is a very deep, unconscious need to be validated. You go out of your way to do things that you believe will make people like you at a very serious cost to your truth. So you will sabotage your truth. You will compromise your values, and you will compromise your peace. Now, approval addiction or unhealthy attachment is when your self-worth becomes dependent on external applause, on external opinions, on external recognition. And it's not based on love, but it is based on what I'll call bondage. So it's like a child who constantly looks at the parent's face for approval. It's like an adult who still looks to other people before they are able to define themselves, before they are able to make a decision, before they are able to function normally. You are seeking other people's reactions. So in a relationship is about your spouse. At the office, you are looking, and around you, you are looking at people that are more successful than you. You are looking at people that have a higher status than you. You are looking at people that are richer than you, right? And you have outsourced your decision making unconsciously to these people, and you cannot function without it. Now, the more dangerous part of it is, social media and, culture, especially in cultures that enforce it. They enforce, so you have certain families where they are very influential and very rich. And so from nurture, every child must do what the influential father insists. And every decision that you have, that every decision about your life is made for you. We can understand that when you were growing up as a child. We can understand that as a teenager. However, when you have to work for your parents, when they pay your rent, when they take care of everything that has to do with your livelihood, even when you marry, even when you have children, then you are hooked. You are hooked. So addiction is when you are unhealthily hooked. So you cannot function normally. You cannot make a decision without calling daddy. You cannot make a decision without calling mommy. You cannot make a decision on your own and make the right decision. It is very, very dangerous. Now, people with approval addiction and unhealthy attachment, they mirror and copy other people's lives unconsciously. And they give away their power, right? It is about what people think about you. It's about other people's opinion about you. It's about other people's decision about your life. So your own desires, your own needs, your own life, your own decisions are invalidated. It's about social media now begins to forge your lifestyle. Approval addiction is like chasing shadows that you can never ever catch. Now, it leads to unhealthy attachment where you become emotionally and psychologically enmeshed with someone else or a concept of someone else to the point where your identity, your joy, your peace depends on them. It is almost like you have your mind is consumed. I would like to call it a soul tie that keeps you in bondage or that keeps you trapped. It's like holding on to a burning rope. The more it burns, then the tighter you hold on to. That's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for your self esteem. It's unhealthy for your self worth. It's unhealthy for your self confidence. It's unhealthy for your self belief. And it is born out of fear of loss. It is born out of fear of rejection. It is born out of fear of being alone. It leads to you clinging to people. You become parasitic. And that's not love. That's not the healthy acceptance that we are all seeking for. One that suffers from approval addiction or unhealthy attachment is one that is constantly living in fear. You are constantly afraid of grief. And grief is about loss. And it's not about the loss of someone's life. It's about the loss of, the acceptance. It's about the loss of them liking you. It's about you feeling that you are nobody without somebody else. It's about you feeling incomplete and insignificant without somebody else. It becomes a liability. You become a liability. You become a parasite. You become a leech. You become a problem, and it becomes a problem for you. You become a handbag. You become extra baggage. So now, approval addiction and unhealthy attachment, right, finds its root in a fractured identity. And a fractured identity comes from your upbringing. Addiction approval and unhealthy attachment finds its root from unresolved childhood trauma and wounds. When you are growing up, the culture of your family is a culture of lack of affirmation. You never feel like you were seen. You never feel like you were heard. You never felt love when you were growing up. You had to develop a survival instinct and pattern where you are constantly people pleasing and you are codependent and you are attached. Now, when you live your life like that from your upbringing, which is, some people's way of bringing up children. So it comes from the traditional way of parenting or the cultural way of parenting. If you are used to it and this is the only way that you know, as you were growing up, as you were a teenager, as you are advancing in your years, it becomes the only thing that you know and it becomes your go to and you cannot escape from it. Therefore, it becomes an addiction. Your emotional needs were never met. So you learn to trade your authenticity for acceptance. You began to trade self love for other people's validation, and without you finding healing, without you finding wholeness, you will keep repeating these toxic loops in your friendships, in your marriage, in the marketplace, and in your life generally. So, people look for validation everywhere. You look for validation in your social space. You look for validation within the workplace. You look for validation in church or in the mosque, spiritual validation. And you look for identity validation. You look for love in the wrong places. Social media, socially, everywhere now becomes, your playing ground where you are trying to grapple for straws. So it is born out of your background. It is born out of your childhood trauma. It is born out of a lack of love. It is born out of a lack of self worth, self esteem. It is born out of absenteeism in parenting, and herein lies, the root and the essence of what addiction approval is an unhealthy attachment. How is discovering your identity or how is having an authentic identity, how is it key to overcoming addiction of approval or approval addiction or healthy attachment? It is the very, very master key, honestly. Because someone that is authentic, someone that knows who they are and who they are not, someone that knows what they are and what they are not, someone that knows what their purpose is and is living it, someone that is authentically themselves, knows that I'm an original, yeah, knows that I am independent of anybody else. That person will not suffer from approval addiction. That person will not suffer from unhealthy attachment. So the opposite. In fact, the person that suffers from addiction, from approval addiction or unhealthy attachment lacks identity or has an identity crisis or has an imposter syndrome. And the opposite of approval addiction or unhealthy attachment is authentic identity and independence. So it is the complete total opposite. Now, it is important for us to be able to recognize, especially as parents, especially as leaders, for us to be able to recognize people that are suffering from approval addiction and unhealthy attachment. It is very, very important for you to be able to pick it up in your children, for you to be able to pick it up around you. Now, there are various signs, there are various red flags. If you get into a relationship with someone that has an approval addiction, or you're in trouble because the person will be very, very parasitic. Now, what are the signs that you're looking at that are opposite to someone that has an authentic identity? They cannot say no without feeling guilty. Someone that has an authentic identity knows that you cannot say yes to everything. You cannot say yes to everybody. You've got to be able to say no and feel okay saying no. You've got to be able to sometimes choose yourself. That's right. So someone that lacks self-worth, that lacks self-esteem, that lacks self-confidence will struggle with saying no. The second thing is, someone that is authentic, someone that knows who they are, they will not be struggling with the fear of rejection. If you like, say no to me. If you like, say yes to me. It really doesn't matter. Why? Because you know what? This is life. People will always say no, and sometimes people will say yes to you. So, someone that lacks a sense of identity, authenticity, be afraid of rejection. That's another sign. Another sign is that, someone that lacks identity is someone that seeks validation everywhere, including online. You cannot make a decision until someone, two people, three people, four people, validate it. That's a major problem. Someone that is authentic, someone that has identity will not do that. Another sign is, you are lost in a relationship. You lose yourself. Someone that has a sense of identity, self worth, self esteem cannot be lost. They show up in a relationship. Now, someone that has identity, someone that lives from their authentic self, they would not tolerate disrespect just to keep peace. They will not tolerate disrespect. They will put their foot down when they have a sense of identity. They will put their foot down when someone is disrespecting them. Another sign is that people that have addiction for approval or unhealthy attachment, they're always anxious. When people don't respond to their phone call, so I called you, then they start to think, am I not good enough? Does this person not want to talk? Or they text you, right? And you don't text them back. When you eventually get to speak to them or chat with them, the first thing that they'll say to you is, why didn't you want to talk to me? Why didn't you respond to my text message? That person lacks a sense of identity. Another sign is people with an approval addiction or unhealthy attachment, they suppress their own voice. They always, at all costs, avoid conflict. Bring the conflict on. Someone that is authentic knows that conflict is natural. And my voice needs to be heard as well. Someone that is struggling with approval addiction is often abused. They often cannot be alone by themselves. They're always looking for something to occupy their time with or somebody to be around them all the time. They always fake busyness. They never stop to pause. They never stop to reflect. They just keep on going on and they keep chasing things. They keep chasing money. They keep chasing power, status, and positions just to validate themselves. They believe that outside of a position, I'm not someone. Outside of status, outside of power, outside of money, I'm nobody. Now, these are very, 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 very interesting signs of people that have this issue of approval addiction, or people that have issues with unhealthy attachment. They are struggling with their identity. They lack identity. They are always looking for validation of who they are from other people. It's important for us to recognize that approval addiction or unhealthy attachment is completely different from love or seeking intimacy. Real love liberates, it doesn't enslave. So, there's a thin line between seeking love, acceptance, or approval addiction or unhealthy attachment. So a lot of times, right, for people that have an authentic identity, for people that are functioning right, what we're looking for is love. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with love. There's nothing wrong with seeking intimacy. It is a need. that we have, right? There's nothing wrong in seeking connection with people. There's nothing wrong in building relationships with people. There's nothing wrong in coexisting with people. Why? Because we're relational beings. So let's not mix it up. Love and real love liberates, it doesn't enslave. Approval addiction enslaves. Unhealthy attachment enslaves. Unconditional love says that I love you whether you choose me or not. Approval addiction, right, says whether you choose me or not, I must latch on to you. And if you don't choose me, it causes me pain. If you do not agree to for me to latch on to you and to continue, right, to feed off you, whether it's emotionally, whether it's psychologically, whether it's physically, in any way, shape, or form, if I'm unable to, it is destructive. It's like I'm in grief. So it's different. You know, Attachment says, if you leave me. Approval addiction says, if you leave me, I'm nothing. But love doesn't say that. We love each other and, we still part ways and we still live our life. So God loves us and God's love for us is the gold standard. He doesn't manipulate us. He doesn't place unhealthy demands upon us. When you love with open hands, then you stop bleeding for people who won't even offer you a bandage, right? So it is important for us to be able to separate connectivity, connection, desire for intimacy, desire for love, desire to coexist, desire for bonding, right? Desire for relationship. It's important for us to separate it from approval addiction and unhealthy attachment. You see, in life, there's no vacuum, right? When you have people that have an approval addiction or people that have, unhealthy attachment, then you have other people that need them. You have people that need people that have approval addiction. We have people that need people who have unhealthy attachment. And these are the people who were brought up and spoiled. Everything they needed, they got. Everything they wanted, they got. There are certain mothers that have sons and they have looked for a son since, and we spoil that boy, and that's the only child. And in Yoruba, they call that boy Okomi, as in my husband, my everything, my everything, my everything, my everything. So you spoil them, you dote over them, you just pour everything. So you can't say no to them. You're always there for them. You're overwhelmingly there for them. Before they raise their hand, you have moved. Before they ask for anything, you have given them for, you know. So those people will also look for people that have unhealthy attachment. These people will also look for people that have approval. So you find out that this life, guy, is very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So it is important, for us to be able to, for us to be able to identify those signs in people. Not just only identify those signs in people, but for us to be able to, know that this person needs help. This person needs help. And it's important for us to be able to position ourselves to help them. Whether it's the people on the spectrum of the approval addiction or the people on the spectrum of those that are addicted to people with approval addiction. Both is dysfunction. People that are struggling with approval addiction. There are people that are struggling with unhealthy attachment, right? How do we help them? The first thing is never criticize. Don't criticize them. Say you every time you are too dependent. Don't criticize them. And check yourself. Check yourself. Don't control them either. So that's the opposite end of the spectrum. If these people are always there for me and they're always offering something, you too, don't take everything that they are always offering. Create a psychologically safe and emotionally safe space where you begin to win them off approval addiction. You begin to speak to them. You begin to help them find their true essence, their purpose, and their identity. Position as the mirror that they never had so that they can see their own true reflection. Affirm them. Affirm their identity without feeding their dependence. Ask them very powerful questions that will provoke them to reflect, not judgmental questions. For example, who are you when there's no applause? Or what do you really, not what others expect of you? What would you really have us do today? You must decide for us today where we're going, what we are doing. So you must be that voice of safety that begins to help them recalibrate, to begin to make the decisions by themselves. You must be that mirror that positions to get them to begin to see themselves authentically. Yes, you must encourage them. You must share resources with them. You must walk with them in love. Please don't walk with them in rescue mode. Guide, don't save. Guide, don't be a savior. Recommend therapy for them because it is very, very important. Also, faith plays a very, very big role in helping them break free from approval addiction and attachment issues. Faith helps us shift our focus on people being our source of existence, people being our source of happiness. It helps us shift our focus to God being our source. So instead of seeking validation, people as your source for validation for your identity, you move your attention towards God as the only validation that you need, as the only authentic source for your existence. He created you. So faith is very, very important. When you know that you are God's beloved, according to Ephesians 1:6, when you know that God loves you unconditionally, when you know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made by God, when you know, right, that God doesn't require you to stoop and bend for crumbs from broken people or other people, you will wake up. Faith reminds you that you are complete in Him, that He created you for a purpose, that you were created in His image and after His likeness. And that truth uproots this approval addiction. That truth nullifies the mindset that I am not enough. That truth shifts, your perspective, that you must always seek approval from other people. Faith is key. Your relationship with God is one of the keys to escaping and being delivered, or one of the keys to breaking free from approval addiction. Pointing people back to God as their source is key to breaking free. What NLP techniques, what coaching techniques, what EFT techniques, what interventions can we use to help, people break free? Number one is swish in NLP. Number two is reframing in NLP. Number three is perceptual positioning in NLP. Number four, and most importantly, is belief change in NLP. honestly. EFT, it's tapping. In EFT, it is matrix re-imprinting. In NLP, it is timeline travel. So in energy psychology, it is going back to do the child work with them. Because you see, once you are able to find the root cause, once you are able to find where this problem originated from, and for different people, it is different root cause, right? Then you know where to go. Another tool that you can use is neurological levels of change. Because approval addiction is a behavior. That's right, it's a behavior. And so it is about behavioral change. So reframing is so powerful. Perceptual position is so powerful. Neurological levels of change, timeline travel is so powerful. Swish, belief change, EFT tapping, matrix reimprinting, all of these interventions will help you break free. Or as a coach and a therapist are the tools that you need to quickly use to help people break free from, addiction approval or unhealthy attachment. Within meditation, begin to visualize yourself as someone whose identity is intact. Begin to see yourself as someone with a healthy sense of self-worth, self-confidence, self-belief. Begin to see yourself from that perspective every time you meditate. That's the first thing. So, guided meditation for self esteem, self confidence, and self worth is very, very key. So, I have a guided meditation for that. So, if you are struggling, that's the first thing. Go and be listening to my guided meditation on self esteem, self confidence, and self love. Right? Very, very important. The second thing that you can do is affirmation. Faith cometh by hearing. So you can reprogram what you believe or what you are acting on as a function of your belief, which is your faith. You can reprogram it by repeatedly listening to affirmation. So if you're a woman, the ultimate virtuous woman affirmation is very, very powerful. Number two, the love affirmation is very, very powerful. If you're a man, the honorable man affirmation is very, very powerful. For both sexes, possibilities affirmation is very, very powerful. Possibilities. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So listen to my 12-track affirmation. Very important. The third thing that you now want to do after you have started meditating, visualizing, and doing affirmations is journaling. You now sit down and begin to track your decision making process. Okay, today, how many decisions did I make by virtue of me deciding by myself without asking for someone else's validation? How many decisions did I seek validation for? And which decisions did I seek validation for? Now. Backtrack and ask yourself, have I always sought validation for these decisions? How did I get into it? You will find and track it in your upbringing, somewhere in your history. And ask yourself, what do I want to do about it? Am I able to help myself refrain? Am I able to help myself change? If I cannot help myself change, then you need to get an integrative practitioner. Swish will help you. Belief change will help you. Timeline travel will help you. Matrix reimprinting will help you. And all of these interventions that I've shared will help you. But you need a practitioner. You need an expert to handle you through that journey. Make a commitment that you want to change. Make a commitment that you are going to discover your identity. You are going to fulfill your identity and your purpose. Also, go and get the purpose-driven life. The purpose-driven life, and go on a 42-day journey. right? Where you discover your purpose and your true identity in God. Very, very important. That journey of purpose discovery is a banger. Honestly, if I can say that, it is the cocoa. Begin to seek meaning. Begin to seek purpose. Begin to fulfill your purpose in life. Very, very important. Another thing that you want to do is I want you to get a gratitude journal and be grateful for yourself. Be grateful for your authentic self. Be grateful for who you are to God and who God is to you and your relationship and union with God. Be grateful for the purpose for which God has created you. Be grateful for the decisions that you've made by yourself and the decisions that you are yet to begin to make for yourself. So it's very, 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 very key. So get a gratitude journal and work with a gratitude journal. Now, it's important for us to understand that many of us have, maybe we're not really, really suffering from approval addiction in every area of our lives. Some of us have it in some areas of our life. So let me charge you. Let me give you a final charge. You are not what people think you are. Let me take that again. You are not what people think you are. You are what God has created you to be. You are not what people say you are. You are what God says you are. You are not your mistake. You are not your mistake. You are light. It is important for you to know that you are loved. It is important for you to know that you are whole. It is important for you to know that you can break that cycle. You can reclaim your voice. You can reclaim your authenticity. Honestly, you do not need anybody's approval to live free. Freedom is a major need that we have. Free yourself. You only need alignment with your divine identity. You don't need anybody's validation for you to think or believe you are A or B or C. It is time for you to let go so that you can grow. It is time for you to break free so that you can be all that you were created to be. Your soul and your spirit, they deserve peace. And the only way in this regard for you to experience peace is for you to choose freedom. That's right. It is important for you to choose freedom. FREEDOM. Now, freedom means face your trauma, admit your pain, name it, name it. You cannot heal what you hide. Name it, name it. And then begin to recode, begin to rewrite your identity. You are not what happened to you. Reclaim your worth. That's right. God has already created you to be an authentic being. Reclaim it. E stands for establishing boundaries. Learn to say no with love. Protect your peace as if your life depends on it, because your life depends on it. Embrace solitude. Yes. Love your own presence, your own company. Embrace solitude, because solitude isn't loneliness. Solitude is where you find peace. Solitude is where you find clarity. Solitude is where you find wholeness. Solitude is where you find healing. Solitude is where you find, divine validation. Divine validation. The only validation that you need is God's validation. You can never get it when there's a lot of noise around you. So you know what? You need to be alone in solitude and meditate and connect with God and pray. Detach with love. Let go of people. Let go of patterns. Let go of places that poison your soul. Let them go. Own your own truth. Speak to your own needs. Stand and live by your own values. That's right. Stop shrinking to fit into other people's agenda or other people's perspective or other people's, the way or ways or vision. It is important for you to get mentorship. It's important for you to get coaching. It's important for you to get therapy. Sometimes, in fact, most times, you need to be in the right community. Why? Because your wholeness, right, will be validated in the right community with the right relationships. And when you are in the right community, when you are with the right people, when you are building the right relationships, you'll be able to see inauthentic people from authentic people. How do you know that something is fake when you cannot compare it with its original? So it's important for you to seek freedom. Yeah. Freedom, mentorship and therapy and coaching. Own your own truth, detach from addiction, detach from unhealthy attachment with love. It is important for you to embrace solitude, meditate, visualize, do affirmations, establish boundaries around yourself. It's time for you to say no. You have to rewrite and recode your identity. It's time for you to face your past, meet your pain and your trauma, and free yourself from it. I am successful. I look for and find opportunities where others see nothing. I am a lifetime learner. I am solution focused. I see only solutions. I am a solution.